Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new lore of magic, the Lore of Mists. This is exclusive to the High Elves at the moment, meaning that the High Elves have access to 10 laws of magic, which is fairly impressive, but it is kind of standard in terms of lore. So, this is available through the Mist Mage, not through your normal mages, and is only available in hero form. There is no lord with this at the moment. This is a lore of magic which is going to be focusing very heavily on defense, kind of buffs, debuffs. It's a bit of everything, but it's mostly there to be a supportive lore. And it's further enhanced by the fact that this Mist Mage is on foot, on a Great Eagle, or on a Lothan Skycutter. So let's talk about the lore of magic and what it can do, because I feel like it's quite important here to discuss a brand new lore. There's so many now in Total War Warhammer, and whether or not this is a spell lore that you're going to use. So let's start off with the trait Obscuring Haze. This is an area effect every time that you cast a spell, and it gives plus 10 missile resistance to your troops around your area for around 12 seconds. It's not an impressive trait, but yeah, at the end of the day, there's some, even the Lore of Everyone's one isn't too good. It's defensive if you're fighting against a lot of ranged troopers and so on. So if you're fighting against the Dark Elves or other High Elves, good work. Before we begin, I just want to state one thing before I forget. So, all of these spells, barring one, have affects other units, right? So, most of them are just going to affect one unit that's nearby, whether it be an enemy or an ally, with one being a full area effect and the other one being a summon. But it's quite important to note that, because if you're getting a speed bonus, for example, it's very likely that you'll get it to another unit that's nearby. Or if you're debuffing your enemy, it's very likely that you'll be debuffing or damaging an enemy nearby too. And I think that's what makes this spell lore a lot more useful in certain cases, depending on the player, of course. Your first spell is Ladal Shroud, costing 4 magic or 9 if overcasted. Its base form will give you vigor per second and also make you immune to contact effects, whereas when it's overcasted, it will allow you to heal a little bit. The spell itself is pretty decent, and a 9 magic heal isn't too bad for what it can do. But the benefit of this spell is to make your troops feel fresh again if you're wanting to get very powerful charges out. Contact effects also quite important, because if you're dealing with a lot of chaos stuff, or even some of, well, most factions nowadays have some form of contact effect, so you can negate that if it's coming straight at you. It's cheap and it's effective, and really when you're using it in campaign, magic isn't too much of an issue, as you will have enough coming in to be able to cast quite a bit. Your next spell is Matland Spirit for 8 magic, which will do some decent damage to single entities, but really just the single entities. Speed reduction on the enemy, which is very good if you're dealing with any fast attackers, anything on a boob snake for example, and also reduce their vigor, which I quite like, as there's a lot of fast stuff in this DLC. When you overcast it, it's 12 magic, and it will even reduce the speed of the enemy even further by 45% and be increased to 30 seconds rather than 20. It's not a bad spell when you're dealing with these situations where there's fast enemies. You want to slow them down, you want to separate them a little bit. Maybe you're dealing with a Bretonnian charge coming at you and you want to slow them down with that, whilst also dealing some damage against maybe Rapans. That's a character that you can deal with. Or if you just want to slow down an individual unit, just don't think that it's going to do a lot of damage. I think that's quite important to say. It is a multi-purpose spell. It's rather expensive. I think that maybe it would have been good if it could have been an area of effect as the overcasted version, but maybe Games Workshop have a different interpretation or what they have in mind, because a lot of these things, when CA makes a spell, they generally have to go to GW for that, for approval and so on. But I've used it in campaign, and yeah, it's not too bad. Being able to slow down any fast attackers coming straight at you is quite good. Maybe, you know how the AI is kind of weird, and the character just goes off by itself? You can slow them down, you can shoot them, and they just won't get to you. Because if you're bringing a Mist Mage, you're generally bringing a lot of range with you. Your next spell is Walk Between Worlds, and I'm pretty sure this was a teleport spell back in the day. I'm not 100% too sure because it's been a while since 8th edition. But wasn't this a spell that people used to use to teleport the block of Phoenix Guard and stuff? Maybe I'm wrong there. It's been a while, and now I'm used to the old world magic system, which is Better, but worse in some points. Either way, 6 magic by itself, which is able to increase speed by 25%, increase physical resistance by 55%, and give you Strider. This is for a duration of 22 seconds. And then if you decide to overcast it, it's a duration of 44 seconds at 9 magic. It's actually fairly cheap, but it's not too bad. The way I've used this spell is generally if I want to get a unit closer into combat, or if they're stuck in the fray like a melee lord or a melee hero, and I want them to have a bit of physical resistance. 44 seconds for 9 magic, well, it's a bit of a steal, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's a hell of a lot of physical resistance. Sure, there is a cap, and you might hit that cap, but it allows you to just be a bit more defensive. Your next spell is the Flensing Har, and this one's a pretty interesting one. So it starts off with 8 magic, but can cost 12. This reduces enemy armor by 30 and missile block chance by 36. Not only that, it is a jumper. So this is something that actually was a thing in the tabletop with the original interpretation of Plague. It can jump onto other enemies to a maximum, meaning that you can debuff quite a few units. The problem here is that you can't pick who you're going to be debuffing. It's just you get the one target and then the rest kind of spreads. If there's a lot of enemies around, well, that's not going to be too great. What's this spell for? Well, this spell can be used on enemies that are coming to you in a choke point, for example, and then you're going to be able to fire at them. Reducing their armor is also quite good for melee, so it can spread. It's got multi-purpose for melee and also for ranged troopers on your behalf. It can jump up to 5 units, so, I mean, it's multi-purpose. I don't think it's a bad one, it's just a bit of a gamble. I want to see more chain spells come in. We've got a few already in game, and I think they do add quite a lot of flavor to the game. The next one is the Writhing Mist. So this one's a pretty interesting one because it's an area of effect that actually gives you bonuses to your units, but negatives to your enemy. So bonus-wise, it will give missile block chance, 360-degree missile block, stalk, and snipe. When it's against the enemy, it reduces their leadership and reduces their melee defense. This costs 10 magic, but costs 14 if you upgrade it, and it just really increases the duration. The buffs that you see are quite strong as they stand. It's again multi-purpose. If you're being shot at by a lot of enemies, well, you'll do this and increase your missile block chance for all your Loth Sea Guard, for example. But if you're stuck in melee and you really need to get those enemies out of there quickly, reduce their leadership, reduce their melee defense so they take a little bit more damage, it's not bad. It's a little expensive, but for a support lore, I think it makes sense because it gives you 2 different options. And yeah, I mean, price-wise for 10, it's not too bad. Remember, the more spellcasters you have, and the more items or certain effects coming in, you will have more magic reserves, so it won't feel like it's draining your resources too quickly. And the final spell is Mistress of the Deeps. This is 12 magic, has 2 uses. It's a summon spell to summon a unit of Oceanids. Oceanids are strong and they're able to hold down quite a lot of enemies. If you're trying to push back, this is something that you can do to hold back the enemies to get your archers back into position to fire, or maybe you just want something summoned in from behind. Remember, the benefit here is that this spellcaster can fly, get behind enemy lines, summon in something to flank, or even get a rear charge. It's expensive, but given the fact that Oceanids are quite a very durable unit as a summon, I would say it's fairly decent. I've already got a few battles ready to showcase, and the Oceanids do pretty much get their money's worth. So I would say that, yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. It's going to be like this with the whole lore, though. The Mist Mage is a multi-purpose caster with buffs, debuffs, summons, a little bit of everything, really, and the spells are quite cool. The thing is, and this is coming from a campaign point of view, when you've got access to 9 other lores, because you have the 8 color lores and high magic, and in most cases you're going to be using the same 2, maybe 3 lores over and over. Most people go, what, Lore of Life, maybe Lore of Death, paired with likely Lore of Heavens, or maybe Lore of Shadows, but those are the main ones that normally get used. Adding another lore is always cool, because I think it's always good to have an option, but it's also the case of, is this going to get a lot of use? I don't think that it's going to, unless you're really playing Aisling and you want to keep that theme going. But I don't want to sound like negative here, because at the end of the day, the more laws of magic, unique laws and stuff like that, it's always great to see. It's really sad, for example, that the Wood Elves still do not have the lore of Athaloran, yet do have high and dark magic, which, yes, was more of an 8th edition thing, and I see why that was done for its DLC, but unique lores like this bring a lot of life in terms of play diversity for the game. So while this might not be the lore that I am going to be raving about quite a lot, there might be other people, you watching this video might be going, well, this sounds like it's perfect for me. And I think that's a good thing. I will actually highly compliment it for the theming and the fact that you can have a rather good spellcaster on a Skycutter getting from behind, getting those debuffs in, summoning in the Oceanids, and really hurting because you can still use that caster to hunt stuff down. One thing that I've been able to do in campaign, for example, if I'm dealing against some enemy armies, is flying over, summoning a group of Oceanids to keep enemy troops at bay, and then slamming the Skycutter with the mage inside, straight in there, killing the enemy caster, and then getting him out of there quickly once the AI is distracted by the Oceanids. So there is benefit to it. It's by no stretch of the word my favorite lore of Magic, but it's definitely got a lot of cool flavor to it. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Let's have a bit of a discussion. There should be a number of videos coming out today focusing around battles, like my first foray into multiplayer, which I didn't really get to use too much with the Mage, but there's going to be a lot of Sinesh videos. I'm just not going to lie to you. So yeah, have a good one, guys. I'll see you pretty much today multiple times.